Hello, I'm R.A. Spratt, and I want to welcome people joining us this week on the Yoto podcast platform. Now, just so you know, most of the bedtime stories I tell here are standalone stories. But over the last year, we have been dipping in and out of the epic story of Odysseus, the hero from ancient Greek mythology. And this week, I'm going to be telling the second last installment of that tale. So if you can jump in right here, that'll be fine. I'm sure you'll pick it all up. But if you did want to go back to the beginning and start from the first episode, you can search back through the episodes. The first episode's called Odysseus, as told by Nanny Piggins, and it dropped on January 8th, 2025. Or you can go back and listen to any of the other episodes. You're going to find fairy tales, myths, legends, and mysteries. I hope you enjoy them all. Now let's get into it. Hello and welcome to Bedtime Stories with me, R.A. Spratt. All right, well, it's a huge week for me. My new book, Friday Barnes 13, In Plain Sight, has been released on the 10th of June 2025, which, when this episode drops, should be yesterday. So anyway, it's just come out. It's huge. It's taken me a little bit longer than usual to get this book done, and so I'm so glad it's now available for all of you to enjoy. I went down to Melbourne on the weekend to do the big book launch. We did two theatre shows at the Round Theatre in Nunawading, and it was just awesome. 200 people came to each show, wonderful crowds. Thank you so much for coming. I've still got another book launch event coming up on, I think it's the 21st here in Bowral, and I've been going about Sydney and Melbourne, going to bookstores and signing stock for them. So if you want a signed copy or a signed copy of one of my books, you can pop into any of those bookstores I've been to. You can figure out which ones they are by going to my Instagram. There's like posts explaining which stores I've been to. But yeah, it's a huge week because Friday Barnes is my big series as far as my publisher is concerned. And the Friday Barnes fans are so enthusiastic and they've really been waiting for this book. So this is a big deal in my world and the world of the fans of my books. So yeah, it's been a lot going on. And also went up to Bellingen this week. So hello to anybody who came and saw me in Bellingen. That was a lot of fun too. I hadn't been to that part of the world for like 30 years. But anyway, because Friday Barnes 13 has come out this week and I was going to do a reading from that book for you today, so I thought, why not just play you the recording I did on the weekend at the live show? So that's what I'm going to do. Here you go. I hope you enjoy Friday Barnes 13. Oh, and I should say, if you do enjoy it, then please buy the book. That would be a big help. It's available, obviously, as a physical paperback book, but also as an audiobook and an ebook. Audiobooks read by me, and all purchases help support this podcast, so that would be wonderful. Anyway, here, enjoy the reading. Now, I'm going to read you the first few chapters, like the first 3 or 4 chapters now. We're not actually going to get up to that bit, but I just wanted you to know when you go home and read it yourself what it's all about. So I'm going to pick up just at the tail end of where the last book left off, for the parents and stuff who maybe did not read book 12 as closely as the younger people. Okay, here we go. So if you remember, it's at CERN. They've just solved all the mysteries about who's been smuggling things through the Hadron Collider. And they've solved the mystery. It was Friday's sister. And they're back at the room and they just flicked on the news. Leading the news tonight, the president of Norway has just given a press conference confirming that the Crown Princess Ingrid and her fiancé were abducted earlier today, said the newsreader. Their car was found abandoned in the outer suburbs of Oslo. Police have been searching the area. There are no leads. No ransom has been demanded. No, gasped Melanie. It can't be true. Binky would never let anything happen to Ingrid. Friday sat down and took her friend's hand. Don't worry, we'll find them. Now, this is the new book, Chapter 1, Abducted. 3 hours later, Friday and Melanie were on a flight to Oslo. Ian was not with them. He was still not allowed to fly because of his head injury. It had been a sad scene at the airport. Ian had been his usual sullen, broody self. Friday wasn't entirely sure whether he had forgotten that she was his girlfriend again until they got to the departure gate where they'd have to part ways to go through to customs, and suddenly Ian burst into tears. What's wrong? Said Friday. She wasn't sure what to do, whether to try and hug Ian or to just pat him on the back. I don't know, said Ian, hiding his face as he tried to plug his tear ducts with his thumb and forefinger, which didn't work. Ever since the head injury, I get so emotional. Well, that's wonderful, said Melanie. It's better out than in. No, it's not, said Ian. It's very confusing. I saw a puppy playing with a chicken the other day, and it made me well up. Yes, that can be awkward, agreed Melanie, especially if you find yourself somewhere with a lot of puppies, like a pet shop. But you've spent your whole life suppressing your emotions, your anger with your father, your anger with your mother, your anger with the world for not understanding how hard it is to be so good looking. It's good that you're finally learning to release your emotion in a healthy way. Why do people always say that crying is healthy? Wailed Ian. It's not. It's positively dangerous. It makes it very difficult to see clearly. There's no way you could operate heavy machinery with tears streaming down your face. You're just trying to change the subject now, said Melanie. You're crying because you're upset about parting from Friday. You can't say it with words, so your eyes are saying it on your behalf with liquids. What? Said Ian. It's okay, said Melanie. It's not your fault your eyes are more emotionally articulate than you are. Most men are that way. Ian wiped the tears from his eyes and forced himself to look at Friday. You must think I really am brain damaged. Friday didn't respond. Now that he was looking at her, Ian realised that Friday looked like she was choking on something. Are you all right? Friday's mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. Oh my gosh, said Melanie, you've set her off too. You've made Friday get emotional. This is some sort of miracle. Both of you emotional at once? I can't believe you're having this relationship breakthrough when we're just about to fly off to a different country. Friday wasn't able to hold in the tears any longer. They started rolling down her face. Oh, Friday, said Melanie, just give him a hug. Friday stepped towards Ian. He opened his arms and they stood there holding each other for a solid 2 minutes until a very rude businessman told them to get out of the way because they were blocking the entrance. Friday found herself standing in the serpentine line in the customs hall with Melanie pressing tissues into her hand, not entirely sure what had just happened. Her eyes were so red and swollen that the electronic passport machine didn't recognise her from her passport photo, and she had to go to the desk to be manually processed. When they finally made it through to the departure lounge, Melanie took Friday by the hand and led her to their gate. Don't worry, said Melanie. He's not nearly as attractive since the neurosurgeon shaved all his hair off and put stitches in his head. No girl will steal him from you now. Friday turned to look at her friend. They both knew Melanie was lying. No girl was going to let a little thing like a serious head injury put her off from pursuing an attractive young man. Chapter 2. On the ground. 2.5 hours later, their plane touched down in Oslo. Friday and Melanie had been planning to get a taxi to the Royal Palace, but they were surprised to be met at the gate by Special Agent Magnus, Princess Ingrid's personal bodyguard. It was surprising because when Friday and Melanie had stayed with Ingrid for a few days, Magnus had made it very clear that he did not like Friday. He thought she was a dangerous influence, which was unfair because when someone had tried to kidnap Ingrid, Friday, being the same size and wearing Ingrid's coat, had been kidnapped instead. So in a way, she'd saved her. So when they spotted Magnus in the arrivals hall, holding up a sign with the names Barnes and Pelly, Friday approached him with caution. Melanie, not so much. She wasn't going to let something like Magnus's perpetually gruff demeanour put her off being disarmingly charming. Agent Magnus, cried Melanie as she spotted him. What a lovely surprise. How kind of you to meet us at the airport and offer us a ride. How did you know which flight we'd be on? Asked Melanie. Bernie told me, said Magnus. But why did you contact Bernie? Asked Friday suspiciously. You know, normally, nice people say thank you when someone comes to pick them up from the airport, said Melanie. Magnus has had to deal with airport parking to be here. That's a serious sacrifice for someone to make. No, I parked in the drop-off zone, said Magnus. I am Norwegian Secret Service. I can park wherever I like. You see, it was no trouble at all, said Friday. I want to know why he's here. We know he doesn't like me. He throws you to the ground and puts you in one total body lock one time, and you never let it go, said Melanie. Why are you here to meet us? Asked Friday. Did the king send you? No, the king wouldn't send me to get his laundry, said Magnus. I've been fired. Oh dear, said Melanie. Well, I guess losing the Crown Princess of Norway is a bit of a professional lapse when you are her personal bodyguard. I need your help, mumbled Magnus.
My help, said Friday. I thought you thought I was an annoying teenager. You are an annoying teenager, snapped Magnus, but you're not as useless as the Oslo police. Oh, I understand, said Melanie. She turned to decode the conversation for Friday. You thought Magnus had contempt for you, but he's got contempt for everyone. He's actually got less contempt for you than he does for his colleagues. So on Magnus's scale of emotion, his constant grumbling about everything you do actually equates to warm acceptance from a regular person. I doubt it, said Friday. It is true, said Magnus. I think you're a terrible influence and dangerous to be around. But the princess is gone, so you can't harm her now. And you are better at solving mysteries than the nincompoops in blue uniforms that have kept me locked in an interview room answering their ridiculous questions for the last 24 hours when they should be out hunting for the princess. Do you need a hug? Asked Melanie. No, snapped Magnus. I'm going to give you one anyway, said Melanie. She wrapped her arms around him. Magnus was tall, lean and muscly. He looked deeply uncomfortable to be touched. I know you find this confronting, but hugging is very beneficial, said Melanie. There are even machines designed to give hugs without all the emotional layers that come with being in actual human contact with another person. So just pretend I'm an impersonal machine hugging you. Being crushed by a machine would be preferable to enduring this, said Magnus. There you go, said Melanie. I knew you'd enjoy it. Eventually, after Melanie stopped inflicting her hug on Magnus, he led them out to his illegally parked car and they headed in towards the city. Chapter 3, the task at hand. Do you have any leads? Asked Friday. Nothing, said Magnus. Whoever snatched them up must be professionals. It's as if they disappeared into thin air. How can that be in this modern age? Asked Friday. I thought every city in Europe was covered in CCTV cameras. Well, Oslo is, said Magnus, but they did their research and they found a blind spot. The princess's car was found outside a small town called Drubak. Does anybody here speak Norwegian? Good, because you're going to be horrified soon. There weren't any cameras and no one was about. It's off-season for tourists, so no one saw anything. Can you show us the place? Said Friday. There's nothing to see, said Magnus. The car's been taken away by the forensic team. It's just a boring intersection in a boring suburb. There must be some reason they chose that spot, said Friday. I want to have a look. Magnus was right. This is the Norwegian coming up. The intersection of Brekkevien and Skollevien, two streets, seemed nondescript. There was none of the romantic fairy tale architecture of Oslo's centre that made you feel like you were walking around in a Hans Christian Andersen story. There was just a few shops, a preschool, a train station, and a gaggle of share bikes in a rack outside. Overall, there was a lot of functional buildings overdue for a fresh coat of paint. This would be a bustling place in the morning at 8 o'clock when everyone was rushing off to work or school, and again in the afternoon when they were coming home. But at the moment, at 1 o'clock, it was very quiet. The car was abandoned right here, said Magnus, striding over up to a point on the footpath outside an accountant's office. He pointed to the parking space. There was a different car there now. Excellent, said Friday. Let's take a look. She said let's, as in let us, but she didn't seriously expect either Melanie or Magnus to join her. As she got down on her hands and knees and started inspecting every centimetre of the parking space, crawling along the curb. Hey, what are you doing? A voice yelled out. It's all right, sir, said Magnus. We're conducting an official investigation. He turned to Melanie. Show him your Interpol badge. I don't have a badge, said Melanie. What? Said Magnus. Why not? Well, they did give me one, said Melanie, but I don't carry a handbag and I don't like to put things in my pocket. It ruins the line of my clothes. Why don't you show him your badge? Ugh, I had to hand mine in when I got fired, admitted Magnus. Oh, said Melanie. You can show him my badge, said Friday. She was wriggled all the way under the car now. Her entire torso had disappeared. It's in my backpack. I'll get it, said Melanie. She fished it out of the top pocket and showed the man Friday's Interpol badge. Interpol? But she's a teenager, said the stranger. He looked at the date on the ID card and then looked at Friday's legs, which is all they could see of her now. Yes, sir, said Magnus. She's a close personal friend of Princess Ingrid. Oh, royalty, I see, said the man. She's so high and mighty, you think you can let her crawl around under my car? This is why most countries have republics, you know, because royals are always so weird. Friday edged out backwards. Here she comes, said Melanie. Friday stood up, brushing the grime from the gutter off her hands and knees. "What did you find?" asked Melanie. "Nothing," said Friday with a smile. The man made a scoffing noise. "Ha! This is Interpol's finest, is it? This is why you have to pay so much taxes to Brussels." "I didn't find anything relevant to the case," said Friday, "but I did find rat droppings." "What a delightful girl," said the man. "You must make your parents so proud." "No, ironically, they couldn't care less," said Friday, "but you should." "Why should I care about street rats?" said the man. "Because they're not street rats," said Friday. "As you can see, my trousers are damp because the street must have been cleaned at some stage this morning." The man looked about. The road was wet and shiny where it had just been cleaned. Sorry, turning a page is surprisingly difficult. When people are watching you, like if I was at home, I could turn a page. But there's 200 people watching me and all of a sudden I lose the skill. There wasn't any trash or autumn leaves falling in sight. "So what?" demanded the man. "So that means if there are rat droppings under your car," said Friday, "that there's a rat living in the engine. It's quite common in cold countries. Rats move into engines and build a nest because they're warm. But then the rats get thirsty and they eat into the coolant hoses in search of water, and that can cause thousands of euros in damage." "What?" cried the man. He wasn't paying attention to Friday anymore. He was too busy rushing to the driver's side so he could pop the bonnet. Friday, Melanie and Magnus walked off down to the corner. They could hear the man's screams behind them as he threw open the bonnet and was confronted by a family of rats. They could actually hear the rats squealing as well. "I told you there was nothing to see here," said Magnus. "Yes," agreed Friday, "which is in itself interesting. Come on, let's go and visit the king." When Friday and Melanie arrived at the royal palace, Magnum took them straight to the king's offices, but they weren't allowed to go in and see him. "His Majesty's in a meeting," said the personal secretary, a prim woman in her 50s. "But this is about his daughter," argued Magnus. "These are her friends. They can help." "Then they should get an appointment with the police," said the personal secretary. "Just let us in to speak with him," demanded Magnus. "I will try to arrange an appointment for some time later today," said the personal secretary. "This is because I was fired, isn't it?" said Magnus. "Frankly, yes," said the personal secretary. "Your security clearance has been revoked. You aren't allowed into the king's office anymore for a meeting. That would be a security risk. At best, I can arrange a meeting in the blue drawing room." "When?" asked Magnus. "This is urgent. We're trying to track the princess down." "I'll do my best," said the personal secretary, "but His Majesty will have the final say." "Oh, please," said Magnus. "The whole staff knows the king does exactly what you tell him." "Then perhaps you should be politer to me," said the personal secretary. "All right, I'll buy you the most expensive box of chocolates I can find," said Magnus. "Just get me a meeting today." "I don't accept bribes," said the personal secretary. "Oh, okay, of course not. I'll go out into a field and pick wildflowers and give you a bunch of totally free flowers. But please get me a meeting," said Magnus. "I'll see what I can do," said the personal secretary, her tone implying that she would do no such thing. "Oh, this is so frustrating," said Magnus as they walked away. "It's for the best," said Friday. "We should get some more information before we meet the king." "From where?" said Magnus. "From the palace's resident Ingrid expert." "Who?" asked Magnus. "Her lady-in-waiting," said Friday. "Saba. Let's go round to Ingrid's apartment and see if Saba's there." "You better stay here," Melanie said to Magnus. "You might be a little intimidating, and we'll probably get more information out of Saba if we speak to her in her native language." "We're going to speak to her in Ethiopian?" asked Friday. "No, an even more subtle and harder to master language, the language of girl talk," said Melanie. Ingrid's apartment was a one-bedroom suite at the back of the palace overlooking the gardens. When Friday and Melanie entered, it was immediately apparent that the rooms had been searched by the police. The police had been thorough and no doubt respectful, but because Ingrid was a royal princess, but it had the look of a place that had been impersonally tidied. Nothing was where it should have been. It was too neat. It didn't look as homey as when Ingrid was there herself. Friday and Melanie were shown through by Saba, a one-armed refugee from Ethiopia who they knew well. "I can't believe she's been kidnapped," said Saba. "Oh, she hasn't," said Melanie. Saba looked confused. "Melanie's in denial," Friday explained. "Oh," said Saba, "just like my mother talking about getting new curtains the day after our house was destroyed by a rocket." "I have great faith in my brother," said Melanie. "Even if Ingrid has been kidnapped, Binky will unkidnap her at the first available opportunity. He may not be good at a lot of things, but he's good at taking care of people." Saba, who knew a bit more about handcuffs and secret underground prison cells than Melanie, did not look convinced. "So you were the last person to see Melanie and Binky," said Friday. "Well, someone else must have seen them after they left here," said Saba. "You would think so," said Friday, "but Ingrid is very good at going unnoticed. The police didn't find any clues when they searched, but they don't know her like you do. Did you notice anything unusual here in the apartment?" "Well, I don't know," said Saba. "They went missing on Tuesday afternoon. I left early that day for my Norwegian lesson. When I came in to work the following morning, the police were already searching the apartment. They took a lot of things away: her computer, her telephone, her personal papers. I don't know what else. I may be her lady in waiting, but I don't intrude on the princess. I don't open her drawers unless I've been asked to. The royal family has so little privacy that it's just good manners to respect it in their home." "So you're saying she didn't take her phone?" asked Friday, honing in on that one fact. "Well, that wasn't uncommon," said Saba. "A newspaper hacked her phone last year." "And she didn't take Magnus with her," said Friday. "No, Magnus is a very good bodyguard, but he did get on her nerves," said Saba. "She said she didn't need him if she was with Binky because Binky was a soldier." "But what did Magnus do that got on Ingrid's nerves?" asked Friday. "Well, he had a tendency to put people in headlocks first and ask questions later," explained Saba, "especially since the trouble with the environmental activists." "What trouble with environmental activists?" "Well, they kept throwing milkshakes at her," said Saba, "every time she appeared in public." "Why?" "Well, they were protesting against oil rigs in the North Sea," said Saba. "Well, what did Ingrid have to do with oil rigs?" "Well, nothing," said Saba, "but they found they got more media attention when they threw milkshakes at her than when they threw them at the Prime Minister. It just looked really good, all that chocolate milkshake dripping off her beautiful blonde hair. And then Magnus wrestling the protester to the ground. It made very good media images." "Oh, poor Magnus," said Friday. "Poor me," said Saba. "It's hard finding a business casual outfit that says sophisticated European princess, but also laid-back, approachable 21-year-old. And milk isn't easy to get out of herringbone tweed. I've had to send off 3 outfits for specialist cleaning in the last two weeks." "Ah, yes, because milk is a protein stain," said Melanie. "It forms a solid. It's a nightmare." "But if she left her phone, what did Ingrid take with her?" asked Friday. "Well, not much," said Saba. "Her water bottle. She is very health conscious and drinks lots of water. Her Kindle. She likes to read. And her bike bag." "Her bike bag? But did she take her bike?" asked Friday. "Well, no," said Saba. "I don't think so." "Does she even have a bike?" asked Friday. "Of course. It'd be un-Norwegian not to have a bike. And the people love seeing her ride around Oslo on it." "Well, does she keep it here in the apartment?" asked Friday. "No," said Saba. "It's stored in the royal garage for security reasons. All modes of transport for the royal family must be stored in a locked facility monitored by armed guards." "Why?" asked Melanie. "You can't hide a bomb on a bicycle." "No, but you could easily plant a tracking device on one," said Saba. "Oh, let's check the garage." Magnus met up with them at the royal garage. It was more like an aircraft carrier. It was a very large room with everything in it impeccably cared for. All the cars, boats and sporting equipment were in immaculate condition and ready to be used on whim by any member of the royal family. The attendant in charge kept a log of everything that came in and went out, so it only took a couple of moments to confirm that Ingrid's diamond bike was still in the garage. "Another dead end," said Magnus. "Magnus! Mr. Magnus!" a young woman called out from the far side of the garage. "Ugh," groaned Magnus. "This is Agent Nilsson, my second in command." "Oh no," said Saba. "Since you got fired, she's in charge now." "Ugh," groaned Magnus. The woman ran over to them. She looked like she was only 15 years old, but as she drew closer, Friday realised that Agent Nilsson must be in her early 20s. She was wearing the type of aggressively boring grey pantsuit that all security operatives wear, and she had the telltale bulge of a concealed weapon under her left shoulder. "What is it?" demanded Magnus. "It's all over the news," said the breathless woman. "They've made a ransom demand." "Who?" asked Magnus. "The kidnappers," said Agent Nilsson. "Yes, but who are they?" "The JFH have claimed responsibility," said Agent Nilsson. Magnus slumped. "Oh, this isn't good." "Who are the JFH?" asked Friday. "The Jordans Fjurigen Haren," said Magnus. "In English, that's the Earth Liberation Army." "Environmentalists?" said Friday. "Militant ones," said Magnus. "I hate them," said Saba. "They've got no respect for fabric." They stood around the television in the drawing room a few moments later, watching the press conference. The Oslo Chief of Police was making a statement. At 12 p.m. today, we received a message from the JFH claiming responsibility for the abduction of Princess Ingrid and Nathaniel Archibald Pelly. Nathaniel, said Friday. Well, you didn't think his real name was Binky, did you? Said Melanie. I did actually, said Friday. Your family is very eccentric. No, we're not, said Melanie. You nap all the time because you contracted African sleeping sickness when you were 12, said Friday. Well, that was just bad luck, said Melanie. But you're also Olympic standard at archery, said Friday. Well, you have to have a hobby, said Melanie. But what parent encourages a borderline narcoleptic to also be good with a deadly weapon, asked Friday. The Chief of Police was still talking. The message said that they will release the young couple when their demands have been met, when oil drilling in the North Sea has been ended and 50 billion euros are committed to restoring the marine environment. But if they're environmentalists, they can't be too bad, said Melanie. Oh no, these people are not tree huggers, said Magnus. They will do anything to save the planet. They believe that the number one problem is overpopulation, so they're determined to reduce the human population using whatever means necessary. Have they hurt anyone before? Asked Friday. Agent Nilsson's phone started buzzing in her hand. Can't you turn that off? Snapped Magnus. It's the king, said Agent Nilsson. He wants to see you. He wants to see you all. All right, well, we'll leave it there. Big round of applause.
Hello, it's me again. If you enjoyed listening to Bedtime Stories with R.A. Spratt, it would be really helpful if you could like, subscribe, follow, and or review the show on whatever podcast platform you're listening to now. Every little one of those digital affirmations helps, and the bigger this podcast gets, the more I can justify procrastinating from my real job to keep bringing these stories to you. Thank you.